Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Awesome Finds. This is the last one for 2019, and this one took a little longer to get together, but I did happen upon a really cool garage sale, so I'm going to be featuring some of those records, plus a record I got from Amoeba, and of course records that were sent to me. So we're going to start with those, and first up, there was a fan of the show who reached out to me. His name is Chuck, and he lives in Pacific Northwest, and he acquired in 2017 all these original master tapes from this defunct recording studio. It was pretty much a regional kind of place where local bands would come and get demos made, maybe press a 45, but never really a whole album, you know what I mean? And so what Chuck discovered was this treasure trove of unheard music. Very few of these releases were ever properly put out on vinyl or CD or anything. So this is the first time we've heard a lot of these songs. And man, this is the kind of story I love. Just someone rescuing music that otherwise probably would have been lost to time. So he reached out to me, and through the record label, which I believe the overall company is Sundays out of Nashville, but I think by and large all of these releases are on separate little offshoot labels of that company. So first up, this is the one I want to show you guys, Pacific Northwest Fuzz Box. So the recording studio was Garland Records, and there's 13 tracks on here. It did come in a nice polyline paper sleeve. I'll show you guys the record in a moment. I believe these these are from 2019 on Modern Harmonic. What's nice here is there's a little backstory blurb, and then it goes into each of the bands here and kind of gives you a little context or a little, I don't know, interpretation of the songs here. But by and large, love the music on this release. It is kind of like post-psychedelic garage rock kind of sound. It's familiar yet unfamiliar because most of these songs you probably haven't heard. So there is the record. So yeah, there's the cover. I'll show you guys the vinyl real quick. It's on this very striking translucent blue. There's side one, and there is side two. Really enjoyed Fuzzbox. I'll show you the second compilation we have here. This one, however, is a little bit more Summer of Love 60s pop rock sound versus the more garage rock sound. I gotta say, both of these releases were about 2 years of hard work by Chuck and his friends to get these master tapes cleaned up and then digitized. It was not an easy task. As you can imagine, Pacific Northwest is rather wet, so you have possibility of mildew and whatnot, because master tapes from unheard bands don't tend to be taken well care of. So yeah, very similar layout. You get blurbs on all the bands and an overall kind of context for this release. I love how they even included pictures where they could of these artists. Here is the vinyl itself. Also came in a polyline paper sleeve, and it's on a nice green to go with the stash box title. And there's side two. I didn't enjoy this one as much as Fuzzbox, so if you can only afford one, I say pick up Fuzzbox, but I think both are worth checking out. Now these next three also came from Sundays, and I was pleasantly surprised by these. I didn't know these were coming at all. And this first one is the Prime Movers Blues Band, which features Iggy Pop on drums. So they were out of the Midwest. It's a double record set, both in polyline paper sleeves. This is, the jacket's really nice. It's got a complete matte finish all the way around, and it gives you this nice overview of the band. And what was really nice about this album was how good it sounds. A lot of these are live cuts. They're a really good blues band. So if you like, say, early Rolling Stones, but then, you know, take it from the Midwest, kind of Chicago blues with that 60s mixed in, that's what you're gonna get with this. And I highly recommend this release. Even without telling you Iggy Pop is on here, even though he's playing drums, I still say it's worth checking out. So what do we got here? Okay, so we got two records. I love these labels, very vintage inspired. So there is side A. There is side B, there's side C, and side D. It is minimal on the vocals, heavy guitar and harmonica solos. It's very hypnotic, it's very groovy. It's got that great late 60s kind of fuzzed out sound. Man, really cool to check out, especially for you Iggy Pop fans. Now this next record was so cool. I was not expecting this at all. This is the soundtrack to Date Bait. Never heard of the film. The music's great on here. It's got a nice jazzy soundtrack with just a little bit of rock and roll sprinkled throughout, and there's a great use of bongos on here. So it's very much like an Ed Wood. I don't know, if you've ever watched a teeny bopper film from the 50s, you know what the sound is like. Like watch The Blob, very similar soundtrack. This was done by Nicholas Karras. Has this great informative booklet. Shows you notes on the soundtrack. Gives you a little overview of the film and what went behind it. So there's some great research that was done for this release. And yeah, you get a little bit about, you know, the actors, what the movie was all about. And then there are more releases within this cinephile certified soundtrack. So what makes this pressing so unique is that it's not just a soundtrack. It also includes the movie on DVD. And it's not just the movie. It is the movie song's soundtrack. So you can sync up. There's a version of this movie where you can put it in your DVD player and then you can choose sync with your record player. And you count it down, almost like Pink Floyd and Wizard of Oz. And you set the needle down, hit play as you hit play with the DVD, and you can hear the soundtrack coming from the vinyl as opposed to the movie itself. So I think that's such a cool thing, just a fun idea. It'd be great to have some friends over. I personally love cheesy music, or I personally love cheesy movies, so this is perfect. Okay, what do we got here? So this is side A, and like very similar modern harmonic labels to the prime movers there. And there is side B. So I think this would make a great gift for anybody who's a vinyl collector and likes bad movies, cheesy movies, kind of silly movies that you talk as you watch, almost do a Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of commentary, but on your own. So I highly recommend this and other releases within this cinephile range. So check it out. So last up from Modern Harmonic, I have the best of Gabor Szabo. Now this is a reissue of a record that came out way back in the day on Impulse. This is a gatefold. Overall, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the quality of this reissue. Everything looks pretty good. I'll show you guys the record real quick. Comes in this just kind of a poly bag here. It's on red vinyl. Here we have side 1, and there is side 2. And I gotta say, these labels look great too. For a reissue, they really captured that Impulse look, and the quality of the print looks very nice. This is kind of instrumental, not quite bossa nova guitar styles. It's a very 60s cocktail party vibe I get from it. It's great instrumental music to put on the background. If you pick up this reissue, or you pick up an original issue, or you just check him out online, I say listen to Gabor. He's very good. It's very classy, kind of fun music. Check it out. So up next, I have Jing by Christopher Rippel. This is from 2019 on Music by Rip Songs. So Christopher is a fan of the show, and he sent me his record. He included a nice note as well as a CD. And it's always great to hear from fans, and I love that interaction, but to get music by the fans is just the cherry on top. So it's really cool to hear the music that those of you who create music are making. I think it's fantastic. And I gotta admit, I wasn't sure what to expect from the music, but I put the needle on and I really enjoyed the 80s power pop rock sound that came from the record. And I don't know if that was his intention, and please don't be offended, but that's what I got from it. I really liked that kind of, dare I say, classic rock, but just that sort of fun rock, big sounds, big reverb that, I feel like in today's age, we shy away from it, but Christopher fully embraces it. Comes on this very striking yellow and black split. So there is side 1 and there is side 2. So thank you very much, Christopher, for sending me your record. All right, so this next batch of records I got from a garage sale, and I was on Tiki Central, which is like a website for tiki enthusiasts, and this guy posted he was selling a bunch of like tiki mugs and statuary and ephemera, and he also mentioned records. So I was like, oh man, I want to go to this. And I reached out to him and we went back and forth as that goes, and finally set a date and a time for me to come over. And man, I was blown away by how many records he had. This is just a small selection of what I picked up. There was a lot of exotica. I picked up a couple records for my friend. I gave them to him as a wedding present. They were the Ethel Merman disco album and the Arthur Fiedler disco album. Because he loves really bad music, so he loved those records. So first up, we have Star Wars and Other Galactic Funk by Meco. Now this, I love the sound of Meco, and of course he made many other things, and it's sort of bridges the gap between disco and electronic music. So really cool stuff. I'll show you guys a record real quick here. Keep in mind I haven't cleaned this yet, but it's on Millennium, which I think is that part of, I don't know who Millennium is. I thought that was part of Casablanca. Yeah, it is part of Casablanca Records. So there is side 1. Look at those labels too. And there is side 2. And then I got Sammy Davis Jr.'s Something for Everyone from 1970 on Motown Records. So as you know, I'm a big Rat Pack fan, and I love to pick up releases by Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and of course, Sammy Davis Jr. And I was struck by this cover because it sort of, to me, invokes a little bit of the censored or the uncensored version of Electric Ladyland that Hendrix didn't like with all the naked ladies around. Here is side 1. And there is side 2. I mean, 1970s, Motown, think of Sammy Davis Jr. doing Barry White or Isaac Hayes, and that's what this record is. I mean, down to the font. This is soulful, it's funky, it is Sammy Davis Jr. going out on a limb, and I really enjoyed it. So up next, I have Frank Sinatra's No One Cares from 1959 on Capitol Records. What's funny about this is recently I had the musician Equip on the show, and then during our conversation we got on the subject of Sinatra, and he brought up this album, and I was at the time scratching my head like, I don't think I know that one, and I had to look it up afterwards, and I was like, no, I don't. So I was like, I gotta pick that one up, and lo and behold, I found it at this garage sale, so now I have it. So thank you very much, Equip, for putting this on my radar. I think I would have bought it anyway just because I'm a sucker for Sinatra, but the cover alone, I mean, look at this. Just love it, love it, love it, love it. This is widely considered Frank Sinatra's darkest album. It's different than today, obviously. I mean, there's still lush string arrangements, but the songs are really quite sad. When No One Cares, Stormy Weather, I Don't Stand a Ghost of a Chance with You, Here's That Rainy Day, I Can't Get Started. Really, I do recommend checking this album out. I personally enjoy a little bit of melancholy. I think if things are too bright and cheery for too long, it's almost, I need a palate cleanser of an album. And so I really enjoyed this record. Here it is, those nice Capitol labels, side 1, and there is side 2. So yeah, I highly recommend checking out No One Cares. So up next, I picked up the Beastie Boys 12-inch single Body Movin' from 1998 on Capitol Records. I don't normally collect these just because it's the same song on both sides. So for instance, I'll show you guys the record. We have the album version, then an a cappella version, then an instrumental cut Master Kurt remix, and then on side B we have the cut Master Kurt remix with vocals, and then you have the instrumental, so you can, have fun at karaoke time with Body Movin'. Regardless, love this song off the album Hello Nasty. Great record from, gosh, my youth. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So anyway, I just thought it was cool. I don't have a lot of Beastie Boys on vinyl, so I was stoked to pick this up, even though it's a 12-inch. There are exceptions that I make, and Beastie Boys is definitely one of them for a 12-inch single. So up next, I have the soundtrack album to the Rutles, All You Need Is Cash. This is from 1978 on Warner Brothers Records. For some reason, I always thought it was a Monty Python movie, but it's not, although there are Monty Python people in it. It also has a inner sleeve here for more fictitious records that you could get on the Ruttle record label. I like this one, the Punk Floyd with Dirk McQuickley, White Dopes on Punk. And then you got lyrics and credits and cast. What's cool is this also had the booklet included. And get a lot of great shots from the movie. Man, look at that airplane. Love these album covers. I mean, this was pre-Photoshop, so someone took a lot of time to make these. I'm sure it was a team. And what else we got here? I even like how they got the same bus for the Tragical History Tour. And there they are on Abbey Road. Look at that animation sequence. It's so good. I love this. It just cracks me up. It's so funny. Anyway, I guess I'll show you the record. You know, it's too bad they couldn't do something making fun of the Apple label, maybe like a pear or something, or an orange or a lemon. That would have been funny, as opposed to these standard Warner Brothers labels. I just wonder if it wasn't in the budget, or who knows why. But there you go. Side 1, side 2. The Rutles. I wouldn't say this is a must own, but you should definitely check it out if you haven't. And if it's been a while, it's worth revisiting. And finally, I picked up The Real Thing, the Beatles Anthology 3 from 1996. This is an original US pressing. If you guys aren't familiar, it is a trifold. And what's great is that it gives you a little blurb on every song here. And, you know, I've listened to this online, but I've never owned the physical copy. I remember when these came out, I can't even do the math right now. I think I was 14 at the time. I didn't really think much of it. I just knew there was a couple new Beatles songs and a documentary. And yeah, so I missed out on them the first time around, and then for whatever reason I didn't pick up the reissues. And so, I'm kind of picking up these ones now. And so I'll show you guys the records real quick, if I can figure this out, which is, oh, here we go. I don't know why it's so confusing when they put this 3 on here, and it just makes me think it's side 3. But anyway, there's side 1 and side 2. I mean, these are exceptionally clean. And I love the fact that these were mastered by Capitol. Even though Capitol did butcher the Beatles albums, I always associate the Beatles with Capitol Records. And I love these. They included the Apple labels right there. There's side 3, side 4. And here we have the final third record here. Here is side 5. And side 6. So yeah, even with the recent reissues of the White Album and Abbey Road with all the extra songs, I still say these are worth owning because there's a lot more variety, and also there's different versions of what we hear on those later releases. So I highly recommend picking up all 3 when you can, but you don't have to immediately go out and get them. You know, wait till you find a good deal. All right, everybody, that will do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave me a comment down below, letting me know which of these were your favorites. If you're going to pick up one of those cool DVD ones, I really want to know. Until then, I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Hey everyone, thanks again for watching this video. Now if you want to see more, I'll put a playlist right there, as well as a video that YouTube will choose for me. Now if you like what you see and you want to help this channel grow, for as little as $1 a month, you can earn some great perks at the same time. Click the link from my Patreon page to find out more.